Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to talk about the movies. I'm Sky Jitani. Welcome back to the Movie Proposal. I'm with Josh Lindsay.
Hey, everybody.
And this is episode 14? 15. Episode 15. Numbers. We're We are joined. Also, that's my mom's name. I don't know where that came from. Something Freudian.
What does it say about me?
Or an Oedipus complex. We're joined by Jason Rugg, who's helping us out technically over here and with various facts and details. This week, of course, we're going to start with something old, and then we'll move on to something new, something borrowed, and something blue. So, Josh, what did you watch recently that's older that you want to remind us of that you are recommending?
Okay, have you heard of Rustler's Rhapsody?
Never.
All right. Do you know who Tom Berman is?
No.
Berenger, Tom Berenger.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a Western, and it's a kind of a spoof. It's where they make fun of like the Lone Ranger type, the clean cowboy, and it opens, I think, in black and white, and the voiceover imagines, what if this cowboy was in real life, I guess. But it's just filled with cliches, with the cattle ranch. In fact, Andy Griffith is the bad guy in it, which makes it kind of funny.
How old is this?
1985.
Oh, yeah.
But he's a cowboy that when he comes into town to clean up whatever mess from whatever bad guys, he'll always warn the bad guy, he won't draw first, and he's going to shoot him in the hand. And the bad guy's like, what do you mean, not the head, not the heart? He's like, no, in the hand. He's like, well, I don't think I like the idea of getting shot in the hand. But that's what a good guy is. Like, he's not going to there to kill the bad guy. He's there just to shoot the gun out of his hand and then, scare him out of town. And so it's a spoof of the old Western and the clean.
So is it supposed to be a comedy?
Oh, it's definitely a comedy.
All right.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
I don't think many people have.
Did you see it as a kid?
I saw it with my dad. That movie makes him laugh so much. I don't know that, it's quirky, it's funny, but, it obviously wasn't a blockbuster, so.
All right. Okay, I was actually struggling this week, I told you earlier, to find something old that I wanted to recommend. And we've never really defined what we mean by something old, so I'm kind of pushing the envelope this time. And this movie's only 10 years old, 11 years old. But last week I watched the movie with my son, The Prestige, which was 2006. It's a Christopher Nolan film about two magicians in London around turn of the century, meaning 19th to 20th century, who are rivals, and they're always trying to one-up each other. And like a lot of Christopher Nolan movies, there's a big twist. There is a lot of sort of warped perspective. It's a really I love Christopher Nolan's movies in general. Mm-hmm. And the reason we watch is my son's been watching a ton of YouTube videos on how to do sleight of hand and magic tricks, and he's gotten into that lately.
I was going to ask why you were watching it with your son, but okay.
Yeah, so he's been into that lately. He's like, there's this great movie. We watched it, and it was a lot of fun. But the ending is really, it makes you remember this film, right?
I do.
Like, the end makes you want to rewatch the movie to kind of figure out how it all worked.
So it's Hugh Jackman, right?
It's Hugh Jackman is one guy, and Christian Bale, a.k.a. Batman, is the other character, and Michael Caine is Christian Bale's assistant, very much the Alfred character in the thing as well, which also fits along with the theme we're talking about for our main movie. But if you're a fan of Christopher Nolan films beyond the Batman series, the Dark Knight series, you got to check out The Prestige, because it's one of those bizarre, really well-made, twist at the end, creepy magic movies. I don't know how else to describe it.
What? And I forget. It's been a while since I've seen it, and you don't have to give it away the ending. But can they explain it logically, or does it go beyond the realms of logic?
Sort of.
All right.
I mean, it definitely moves into the science fiction sort of piece. But so there's one, Christian Bale's character is a magician, and he has this act he does, which the other magician cannot figure out how to do. And I think it's called The Reappearing Man. So Christian Bale, there's two doors on the stage. He bounces a ball, goes into one door, immediately comes out the other door and catches the ball. And he's like, okay, how does he do this? So the other magician, Hugh Jackman, goes on this lengthy search to figure out how he can not only replicate that trick, but make it even better, which takes him to Colorado Springs, where he finds Nikola Tesla, the famous scientist who worked a lot with electricity, kind of the rival to Thomas Edison.
Oh, okay.
And Tesla basically builds him this contraption using electricity that can multiply whatever is in the contraption. Do you remember that?
Yeah, okay. This is coming
So
back
that's
to
where it gets kind of like, all right, this is obviously beyond natural science, but it works in the story. It's really, really fascinating and well told. And Nolan is just a really good filmmaker. I don't think there's a movie he's made that I haven't really valued or appreciated. And I didn't like them all equally, but I guarantee he's going to make a good movie.
He's got one coming out this summer, Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, yeah. I look forward to seeing that. Okay. Our something new. This movie's a few weeks old, but we wanted to get around to it. We are going to talk about Lego Batman. So, Josh, first tell our audience, if they don't know what Lego Batman is.
Well, there's not much to say except
There really
it's
isn't.
Batman and it's a bunch of Legos.
It's kind of a sequel to the Lego movie in that it's the same style.
Yeah, same style.
But it's obviously a different character. But he was sort of the standout character in the Lego movie. He was a side character.
That's true.
And they decided to spin a whole movie.
There you go. Yeah,
okay.
spin-off is a good way. Yeah.
So do you want to offer your proposal?
Okay, so my proposal is a little cheesy, but I think it works. I propose the Lego Batman movie is not the movie America deserves, but it's the one that it needs right now.
That is a little cheesy.
You like that?
That's Jason giving the Rudy clap.
Slow clap.
The slow clap.
But I didn't just steal a line from Dark Knight. I have a reason for this, is because one of the things I loved about this movie, it was so fun.
Yeah.
And you were rooting for them. Where the heroes today are so dark and quote gritty and and they're anti-hero, and which is what made me think of Wrestler's Rhapsody, because I remember growing up as a kid and Sunday mornings watching reruns from the Lone Ranger. It's the flawless, stand-up.
It's the
good
white
guy.
savior.
Right.
And the minority sidekick.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, okay, sidekick aside, he was definitely a clean, good guy, right?
Yeah.
And then we move forward. We get the Indiana Jones, Marty McFly, the Ghostbusters, kind of like the flawed hero or maybe the scoundrel type hero that you root for,
Right.
but still a good person, right?
Right.
And now
certainly
today,
better than a Nazi.
Exactly.
It's all context,
Exactly. And then today, we've got shows like, Walter White,
Breaking Bad,
or John Wick, who, he's the good guy in the movie, but he just kills everybody, right? Or in cartoons, you got Gru. He's literally a bad guy, that you're rooting for, right? And so, and then most recently, Ben Affleck as, Batman, and it's dark and gritty and things like that.
Yeah, and he
so,
kills people.
Exactly. So this was refreshing that, our culture is really diving into these darker characters. It was nice to have a change where someone you could root for and it was funny and that you could cheer on.
All right. My proposal is that the Lego Batman movie is the best DC character movie since Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight series. I mean, really, can you think, to my recollection, the other DC comic book character movies that have come out since then are Green Lantern.
Okay, didn't see it, but heard it was terrible.
Terrible. Really bad. The Man of Steel, the new Superman, right?
Yeah.
Which was horrible.
I
mean, it wasn't horrible,
I wouldn't say
but
it was horrible.
It was not good.
Man of Steel holds the crazy distinction.
Yeah.
It's the only movie I've fallen asleep in since I was like 8.
What?
There you
Fell
go.
asleep.
It was not the movie that Superman deserved. You've got what am I missing?
A bunch. You got Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, horrible.
It's not even a movie.
That was a joke, right? It was really bad.
Batman versus Superman.
Batman versus Superman, atrocious, right? Just atrocious. And this summer, apparently, we're getting Wonder Woman, which I'm going to talk about a little later. So when you look at, these are great characters. You're talking about Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, the Joker, all those other bad guys in Suicide. These are brilliant comic book characters that deserve good stories and well-made movies, and they've all been terrible. So what there's many things I liked about the Batman Lego movie, including the ideas that you just shared. But I like the fact that they finally took a DC character and they made a decent movie. And I get it, it's a kid movie and it's Legos and it's not true to characters, the Batman. I don't care. It was a well-told story. And I came out of the theater going, I'm okay having spent $10 on that movie. Like it was fun, it was entertaining. The characters were well developed, the story made sense, the action was riveting. The bad guys were fun and engaging. It just worked as a movie, just pure and simple as a movie. It worked. What I cannot understand for the life of me is why they aren't taking the folks behind those scripts and putting them in charge of some of the live action movies.
Aren't they two entirely different types of films?
But it's still, there are types of films, and then there's just basic storytelling.
Agreed.
And I don't, like, the errors, I think, in the other DC movies have not been poorly choreographed scenes or poorly done special effects or poorly directed moments. It's just crappy scripts, right? Bad stories that did not work. They just, you know what I mean?
Do you think because they started on the wrong foot, like they had the wrong idea of the character, or they were
sometimes?
Just, okay.
Yeah, like I think with Man of Steel that was true.
All right.
I was actually recently, I saw something about why the Joker worked in The Dark Knight and why it doesn't work in Suicide Squad. And it was because in The Dark Knight, they're both battling for the soul of Gotham.
Right.
The Dark Knight and Joker. What was Joker battling for in Suicide Squad?
Right. It was.
Well, he was just kind of a side character in it anyway, right?
There, but he was kind of.
But
like,
even Enchantress, who was the bad person,
what was she fighting?
Who cares?
Yeah,
right.
you don't. There's nothing. There
And the other
to
thing
grip onto.
I did not get about that movie was, okay, so Amanda, what's her name? The
African American lady?
Yeah, the government person who puts together the
Amanda
Suicide
Waller.
Amanda Waller puts together the Suicide Squad. Like, why did they have to use those guys to do this?
Well, wasn't it so they could, if it goes wrong, something goes wrong, that they can?
Okay, here's the deal. If there is a witch,
kill 'em.
if there is a witch unleashing the forces of who knows what dimension, destroying a whole city, send in the friggin' army. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to blame you. Right? Like, throw everything you can at the witch. This wasn't like a covert operation.
But wasn't it they needed something more than the army? And first of all, I didn't like Suicide Squad, but I will discuss this. Wasn't it because an army just couldn't beat the witch? They actually needed people with superpowers?
Okay, maybe, but then sending them all in. They just sent in like this little squad with like 2 army guys to go along with them.
I never read Suicide Squad. I mean, it doesn't sound like the premise was new to the movie. Like, it sounds like the premise has been around for a while.
That was horrible. We're not here to talk about that movie.
The whole idea of Suicide Squad is that you can send them into impossible situations. It doesn't matter if they die, and they'll be disavowed if
Yeah.
they're found out.
But
That's
you know
the thing.
what?
But it didn't matter in this movie.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It did not matter
You
in
mean
this movie.
what they were up against didn't matter?
Yeah, because they were trying to fight for the greater good,
Right.
in a very public way. So
Yeah,
it didn't matter.
that's exactly what you use straight up heroes for, not bad guys.
Apparently Superman was doing something else at the time. I don't know. Did they
Again,
Probably
another.
being dead.
What's that?
Probably being dead.
Oh, he was dead. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Doomsday. Oh, don't get me started. I am so jaded about this Wonder Woman movie coming out, and we'll talk about it later. But for now, I'm just going to bask in the goodness that was the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah.
And no doubt there will be more. I love what they did. There was a whole lot of bones thrown to the parents in this.
Oh, yeah.
Just references to kind of 90s, 80s humor and cultural references. I can't remember half of them now. But I loved it. I thought it was great.
Okay, so did you see the preview for Ninjago, Lego Ninjago?
Yeah, I'm not so sure.
Right. See, that's an example of where I don't know Ninjago. I didn't even know it was a thing.
It's an original Lego property. They created it kind of like Bionicle or different things like that. They created it.
Yeah,
It's
they're
their
Lego
stories.
Ninja guys. But,
Okay.
but yeah, right. They tend to do really well with borrowed licensed characters rather than their own.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to fly.
Right, because I assumed that was like a direct to TV, series or DVD kind of thing. But no, there's an actual movie that's coming out.
Theatrical release.
Which I'm like, same kind of humor, obviously same style, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Maybe they're thinking based on the Lego movie and the Batman movie, they have enough goodwill that people will go to any Lego movie now.
I guess maybe there's a big fan base for Ninjago, but that was not interesting to me at all.
There was 75 episodes of a Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu TV show.
I've actually seen a few of those.
So there's 7 seasons.
Yeah.
So I think it's got quite an audience if there's 7 seasons.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll skip it.
Anything else stand out to you about Batman, though, the Lego version that you think is worth commenting on?
Well, I just enjoyed it overall. I mean, in terms of, I don't know, the characters they brought in. I thought it was funny that they were bringing in characters from like Harry Potter and Wizard of Oz and things like that. That was great. The article today, we were talking about all the Easter eggs that were thrown in there.
Tons of them.
And really, that's all it was for me. It was just fun. As soon as they started playing Michael Jackson, I mean, multiple times, where that was the whole thing, Man in the Mirror. Like I remember being in high school and going to youth events and they're playing Man in the Mirror, and like it's supposed to be inspiring and that whole thing. And at the time, Thriller was big, so to have him in this movie, and it seemed pretty subtle too. Because if you're not a fan of Michael Jackson, you would not have picked up on any of it. But
and kids aren't going to pick up on it.
Right.
I remember a couple of years ago we went to Disney World, and at Epcot Michael Jackson had recently died, and they brought back Captain EO. Do you remember that? It's a 3D movie.
I never saw it, but I know.
Okay, so there's this venue at Epcot that for many, many years played Captain EO, and it was it Francis Ford Coppola who made that?
No idea.
I think it was Francis Ford Coppola who made this little movie, or maybe it was. You look it up. Maybe it was.
You saw it, right?
Scorsese or something. Captain EO?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I took my kids to it because I remember being a kid at Epcot.
It was Coppola.
Francis Ford Coppola. He makes good wine too. I went and saw it as a kid back in the '80s at Epcot, and so when we were back there a few years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, they have Captain EO back. I was like, kids, you got to see this. It stars Michael Jackson. He was the biggest star when I was a kid, and
right.
So it's like 15-minute movie, right? We go in there, it's 3D, which was a big deal 30 years ago. We watch the movie, and we come out, and I'm like, so what do you guys think of like Michael Jackson? And my daughter's like, wait, who was Michael Jackson? I was like, Captain EO. And she's like, I thought that was a woman. I'm like, no, it was Michael Jackson. So kids aren't going to get the Michael Jackson reference today. But the story, though, overall of Bruce Wayne, Batman, being lonely and needing a family and accidentally adopting the kid who turns out to be Robin, basically.
Right. Dick Grayson, right?
Yeah, but it was pretty funny.
Kids can be cruel sometimes.
That's my favorite line.
Yeah, I mean, again, though, the overall message of, well, some people could take issue with it because here it's kind of a very modern family, right? We're going to piece together a family from these disparate parts rather than having like
his parents were killed. I mean, it's not like
Yeah, but. Whatever. I thought it was a worthwhile message. We need one another. We need family. We shouldn't be loners.
The other thing at the end, I wrote down the quote. I can't find it, but it was when the female character,
Gordon,
Gordon's daughter.
Yeah, what's her first name?
Barbara
Gordon.
She said something that you can't be your hero when you only think of yourself. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like the turning point for Batman to think of others, and so I like that sort of thing. Like my son saw it, he liked it a lot. But this Barbara Gordon, didn't she become
Batgirl?
Batgirl.
Yeah.
Did she become Batgirl in the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's when she said, "You call me Batgirl, I call you Batboy."
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. Yeah. Okay.
It was well done. Well done, DC.
Okay.
Learn a lesson. Okay, so what's our something borrowed?
Well, it was just a simple Lego Batman movie Easter eggs and references. And so we talked about a few of them. This is from Screen Rant. Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror. Some of my favorites were, I love Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. And to me, it didn't replace or necessarily think it was better than Michael Keaton's Batman. Like, to me, they're just two separate. Like, Michael Keaton Batman was Batman to me. Like, I remember sitting in a theater.
Yeah, 1989.
And the music playing and the intro, and like that was a big moment for me as a kid. As kids, my good friends and I, we have lengthy discussions about who would you rather be, Batman or Superman, and you can make a defense and so on. So when this movie came out, it delivered for me, and so I love the references to Michael Keaton, Tim Burton's Batman.
Well, I don't. Which ones do you think of?
Well, he at one point he says, "You want nuts? Let's go nuts," and that's when Michael Keaton's got the poker, the fire stick poker, and he slams something, and then Joker shoots him. I'm trying to think what else. There might have been other references, but it came so fast.
There were a bazillion references.
Yes.
It was hard to keep track.
The old stuff, the Bam, Pow, the Adam. It was Adam West, right?
Yeah, the old 1960s Batman TV show.
Right.
Punch you so hard, words appear.
That's right.
Yeah, like again, kids are never going to know what that's about.
One of my favorites was when the Joker was saying to Batman, I am your number one enemy. He's like, well, not really. He's like, of course I am. He's like, no, maybe Superman. He's like, Superman's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
Which, of course, references Batman versus Superman. And then you must have picked up on the Suicide Squad one.
It's been a couple weeks since I've seen this stupid movie. So
He said, I don't know what someone said, but Batman says, what a stupid idea to get bad guys to fight bad guys.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it was a stupid idea, actually. So it brings up a broader issue for me, though, which is there is a. I don't know if I'm just the only one seeing this, but there seems to be an awful lot of nostalgia in movies these days, or self-referencing nostalgia to the past. I mean, Beauty and the Beast recently came out, right? A whole remake. Disney's remaking all of their classics now as live action because there's no originality. Are we becoming too dependent on the nostalgia, the wink wink, the inside references in order to find entertainment in these stories?
Well,
does it show a lack of originality?
So we, on our Twitter account, we were talking about reboots, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was JT.
JT.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to JT. Was talking about, think of reboots as just a play. Like you saw The Music Man as a kid, and then there's another rendition of it by someone else, right? So it's the same story, same music, just done by a different company, right? And so. In a way, I think that's true. The only difference is I can just pop in the DVD and watch the same movie over and over again. I don't have to see a reboot of it.
Yeah.
But I think it is interesting to see a different take or on something. I mean, I like Beauty and the Beast, and I'm interested in seeing this take on it because it is different. I don't have a problem with it. I do think. There's always an issue of originality and creativity in Hollywood, I mean, they're aware of it. I don't think that's anything new, though.
I think it is, though. I mean, when you look at the number of movies coming out that are either remakes or sequels of existing properties, it seems to be a much higher percentage of the movies than it used to be.
Well, and I think they do that because, they
make money.
Right, they can make money. But, I mean, the model for a long time has been we make a bunch of movies. Most of them are going to lose money, and then a couple will pay us back in spades, and then they covered everything, because they don't know what's going to work.
So maybe we should be rooting for Ninjago.
We should root for it. The preview didn't sell me on it, but
yeah. So anyway, all the Easter eggs, so-called Easter eggs, I'm wondering. I always find them entertaining, but are we becoming too dependent on them? Is it too much inside? Joking? Is it too much nostalgia?
If you were going to do it, this was the movie to do it in.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, this is a movie that doesn't take itself seriously at all.
Right.
But did a great job with it. Anything else on Something Borrowed?
No.
Okay, that was a quick one.
It was.
Okay.
I have something I want to say about Batman, though, if I can. So the one thing, I think I realized why this is one of my favorite Batman movies, because it doesn't feel the need to delve into Batman's backstory.
That is also true.
They didn't do the flashback to, with the pearls and everything that every single Batman movie has done. Mm-hmm. It was just, you guys already know what happened, go ahead, sort of thing.
That's a good point.
It worked.
But you know what's ironic about that is the very first Batman movie, Tim Burton's Batman movie, 1989, really doesn't get into that. It touches briefly on it, but it's not central to the story.
No, it is because Jack Nicholson is the guy that killed his parents.
Right.
If you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight.
Yeah.
And he realized that's the same guy that killed his parents.
I guess you're right.
So it becomes kind of a revenge.
I guess you're right.
Story.
But it wasn't, like, he's already Batman at the beginning of the movie.
True. They're just flashbacks.
They're flashbacks. It's not a huge component. But anyway, which is why Batman Begins was an interesting story, because we hadn't seen that whole backstory.
Well, it wasn't just the backstory. It was like, well, how does a guy actually become? It was more than just mom and dad got killed.
Right. It's how he's trained and becomes a.
I have a suggestion for a new segment.
Yeah.
It's called Movies Jason Hasn't Seen.
Maybe we could just do that as something old. Anything Jason hasn't seen is considered old.
So we found out you have not seen Die Hard. Have you seen that yet?
No.
Okay. And what was the other one? Oh,
Matrix.
The Matrix.
Any of the Matrix.
where have you been living the last 20 years?
I don't know. My parents didn't let me watch violent movies.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. My parents didn't let me, as if that's an excuse.
I had to read all the Lord of the Rings books before they would let me watch it.
Oh,
I'm actually making my son do that.
Yeah. It's you gotta
That's
do your
fine.
time.
we
That's
did
fine.
that with Harry Potter, so.
Okay, something borrowed. I mean, something that blew. Something blue. Blew our mind or blue chunks. What have you got, Josh?
I'm going with Blue Chunks this week. I had nothing better to do and had an opportunity to see 999. It's the Woody Harrelson, Casey Affleck cop thriller. And there's just the typical story. One last mission, one last deal. We're going to break in, steal this thing. Last time we do this, of course, everything's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And by the end, it wasn't the thing about it had going for it was a huge cast of great actors: Kate Winslet, Woody Harrelson, a bunch of other people I can't think of right now. But at the end, it was like, well, what was the point of this?
It was just a bad movie. Dumb script.
It was just dumb. There's no point. I mean, it was believable.
I never even heard of it. Did it get a theatrical release or go straight to like cable?
No. It was in the theaters for a while anyway. But at the end, it was just pointless. It was just violent, and everyone dies except for one guy, and you're like, well, why did I go on this ride? So
Okay.
I'm chalking it up as Blue Chunks.
All right. I got a blow chunks too.
Oh, wow.
But it's not really a movie or a television show or something. It's just an article I came across, but it relates to the new Wonder Woman movie. And as you all know, I don't have high expectations for this film. I will be pleasantly surprised. I've said it multiple times. I will see this movie, but if it stinks, I'm done with DC.
Not even Justice League.
Even if it gets great reviews, I might see it when it comes out on video. But I have serious problems with everything. Even Ben Affleck is getting out of the Batman movie.
No, he's not.
Yeah, well, he's not directing it anymore.
Well, he's not directing it, but he's still Batman.
It's probably because he has to be.
But at what
Okay,
cost?
here's the title. This is an article that's been reported in multiple places. This is from IB Times? I don't know. Title of the article: Wonder Woman fans express shock over Gal Gadot's shaved armpits.
Wow.
Okay, here's the. I don't want to play.
You got to
this.
be a fan to.
Movie aficionados are quite observant and notice even the smallest mistakes. So movie makers today really have their work cut out for them. In Patty Jenkins' new Wonder Woman film, fans have zeroed in on Gal Gadot's armpits, no less.
They are kind of a focal point of the poster.
Yeah.
Well, not just there, but in the trailer, there's a
Which is probably
freeze frame.
raising the sword.
Yeah,
up in
yeah,
the
exactly.
air.
In the movie's latest trailer, Godot's Diana Prince raises both her arms during a battle. People noticed that her armpits were clean shaven, which should not be the case since her character was raised on an island of women. Many of them are fierce warriors who likely do not have time for waxing, bleaching, and meeting today's modern beauty standards. Fans have had a lot of hilarious comments about this on social media. Quote, just aesthetically speaking, the new Wonder Woman trailer had me wishing she had hairy armpits, wrote one person. Another observer said, quote, controversial hot take, I wish Wonder Woman had visible armpit hair. She was raised on an island of women with no chic advertisements. OK Magazine reported similar comments from its fans. Quote, watch the new Wonder Woman trailer, one person tweeted. Should we start the why does she shave her armpits discussion now or wait until it's released? Another added, quote, I just don't buy the idea that Wonder Woman would shave her armpits, let alone bleach them, as appears to be the case in the trailer. Wonder Woman actually provides...
Never mind. Keep going.
Wait, so it goes on, and then there's all these angry people tweeting about how an Amazonian warrior like Wonder Woman should not be forced to conform to Western men's ideals of beauty, and therefore she shouldn't be shaving her armpits.
Maybe she doesn't grow hair under there. How do we know this?
Well, here's my thing. If they want an historically accurate Amazonian warrior, then and somebody who does not conform to male expectations of female beauty, they shouldn't have cast Gal Gadot to begin with.
True.
I mean, she's a strikingly beautiful actress.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman has always been drawn as this buxom ideal of male sexual fantasy. And they're worried that she has shaved armpits? Like,
They
why
just need-
why not cast Rosie O'Donnell? Right? Like, she could have been an Amazonian warrior.
Not tall enough. Not tall enough.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But really?
Maybe she has alopecia, where like your body automatically attacks your hair follicles, and then your hair just falls out. So she's wearing a wig.
That's what I have.
Yeah, I guess it's very clear.
Except I only have it on my head.
I think they just have nothing better to do with their time, and they're just really excited someone finally made a potentially good Wonder Woman movie.
Well, they've been harping for a long time about why aren't women more represented as heroes in films? Like, people have been upset that Black Widow doesn't have her own movie when all the other Marvel characters pretty much do, except Hawkeye.
And the eye patch guy. What's
Nick
his name?
Fury.
Yeah.
They were upset when Rey in the new Star Wars Force Awakens movie didn't have action figures enough. You remember that she wasn't depicted, and she's sort of the heroine of the new Star Wars series.
There was no action figures of her?
There was some big controversy when that movie came out about how she wasn't depicted with action figure. Remember that whole controversy?
I missed that one.
There it is.
She was missing from the Star Wars merchandise.
Right.
What?
There's a lack of Force Awakens toys with Rey. They made a whole bunch of the male characters, but and the reason was they know from their market research that boys buy these characters a lot more than girls do, so they didn't make as many Reys, and there's all this controversy.
An anonymous source within Star Wars said, "We know what sells. No boy wants to be given a product with a female character."
There you go. So there's all these kind of people upset that there aren't more female heroes in these big blockbuster movies, and now you have Wonder Woman, like the biggest female action comic book character ever, and they're making a whole movie about her. It's being directed by a movie, and they got to nitpick.
By a woman?
Yeah, it's being directed by a woman, and they have to nitpick over the fact that she shaves her armpits.
There's always someone to complain.
Exactly, and that blows chunks. And I bet the movie will too.
I think it goes in the category of white teeth. When you it's an old Western, they got white teeth and they're straight, that's not accurate.
Right.
Their teeth would be falling out, they'd be crooked, be yellow.
I've always wondered if I went back in time, what would surprise me most. I'm pretty sure it's personal hygiene.
Body odor.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to go back in time for that.
Well, that's true.
There's many places I've been to.
Right here.
In fact, I remember the first time I took my wife to India. The plane landed. We're still in the plane. We're taxiing to the gate, and they kind of let the outside air into the cabin, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, what is that smell?" And I said, "Welcome to India." That is the smell of 1 billion people. So yeah, you don't have to go back in time for that, but. Yeah. Anyway, okay, I think that's our episode. Thank you guys for watching. Give us your thoughts on The Prestige. On what was your back?
Rustler's Rhapsody. I'd be curious if anyone's ever seen this.
Yeah, I would too. So if you've actually seen that movie, let Josh know he's not alone. Lego Batman, Gal Gadot's armpits in Wonder Woman, and your Triple Nine, which apparently blew chunks. So
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Give us your comments. We'll see you on the next episode. Until then, you can kiss this episode goodbye.
Lights out! Now you want to get nuts? Come on! Let's get nuts.